last job. You didn't like what you were doing at all. You complained to God all the time about that job. But now you're seeking another job doing the same thing. How many of you? Really? Is there a couple of you? In all honesty, right? Because a lot of times we just stick to go with what we know. We stick to what's comfortable, what we've done before. And even though we didn't like it. Well, maybe this is God's way of saying, I'm tired of you complaining about that. I'm tired of you complaining about what you were doing. Get you out of it, and then you're desperately trying to get something just like it back. Okay? We start off and we say, I need a job right now. Anything. I just need something right now. Right? So, you keep going out and getting these, you get what you can. You get what's out there, the easiest thing, you know, the low-hanging fruit. You go and you grab it, you get it. But then you don't like going. Now, some of us have a work ethic. We know we got to take care of the kids, and we get them when we go anyway. But we dread it. How many of you have gone to do something, you dread it, and you did it with great enthusiasm? With a smile? Really? This is the tough women in the room, okay, that do that. That have that work ethic, that you're going to go out and do what you need to do, no matter what you feel like. We don't have the luxury of the emotion that says, I don't feel like going. Let me go ahead and do it and not go. Okay? But think about, you know, that thing that you like to do the least. Let's say housework. For me, it's ironing. I hate ironing. Anybody? You know, think of it, right? Just think of it. What you hate to do. So because you hate to do it, how often do you jump right up and say, well, let me go and do that today? You don't. That's why you go from the laundry to that basket, and then you got to take it out the basket because you never iron it, right? I went looking for a washer and a dryer. I said, is there a dryer that will dry it so there's no wrinkles? And there was, but it was like another $1,500. And I went and looked at it like, wish, right? But no, it didn't happen. But when you have to go do something that you don't like doing, you tend to leave it. You tend to not go after it. Your heart's not in it. And if you do go, your heart's not in it. You're doing the minimal to get by. Think about it when your boss told you to go do something you didn't want to do. Some of us might show up and say, I'm here. What else do you want from me? I've graced you with my presence. You made me come, I'm here. Okay? But that's what happens a lot of times. If we have a job that we don't like, it's going to come through one way or the other. We start to have problems at work. We have conflict with coworkers. We have conflict with supervisors. And we end up losing our job, or they help us along the way. Okay? And then you come right back here. I need a job, anything, right now. Okay? And when you go out looking for work and you have that desperation in your eyes, it's not attractive. And if they hire you, they know they can pay you less. How do I know that? Because I'm in human resources. I've been in human resources almost 20 years now. And I know I can read your desperation. Yeah, like we can smell fear. Like, you know, we can smell it. It just eeks off of you. And when you have that feeling of desperation, we know as recruiters that if we hire you, we can pay you less than we were willing to pay someone else because you're desperate. Some recruiters will do that. A lot of recruiters will do that, especially in today when everybody's trying to get more for less. And budgets are cut. Okay? So, fear, desperation is not attractive. Now, I was originally a high school dropout. I'm from Chicago, came here when I was like 12. I went to Miami-Jackson. I dropped out in 10th grade. I come from a long line of high school dropouts. Nobody in my family, I'm third of 6 kids. My parents, nobody had ever finished high school. And so when it came to me, I just followed the pack. I was going to school. Grades were not hard. I'd skip Monday through Thursday, go Friday, take the test, and do well. But I had so many things going on at home. There was a lot of domestic violence at home. By the time I was 13, I was raped. We did get rid of my dad, but then we just beat the crap out of each other. So there was a lot of things that happened to me. By the time I was 16, I was living alone. Doing what I wanted to do. And I got pregnant. And I was scared out of my mind. I had gone and got my GED, and I had started taking classes down at Miami-Dade College. And I said, man, this is going to mess me up. I can't barely take care of myself, much less a child. And I went and had an abortion. And to date, that's the biggest mistake, the biggest regret that I have. And guess what? A year later, I got pregnant again, and from the same dude. And it gets worse, okay? So I got pregnant from the same guy, but now, this time, I said, I'm having my child. And today, my daughter is 16. She's in the IB magnet program in North Miami. And, but when I had her, I ended up working through a temp agency. And I went to work at Blockbuster headquarters, which was in downtown Fort Lauderdale, as an administrative assistant. And I wasn't making much money. You know, you're making, I don't know what it was, like $10 an hour or something, which was pretty good. 16 years ago, pretty good. This is when the whole company was leaving downtown Fort Lauderdale and going to Dallas. And I was there, I was working around the clock, and one day, I'd been there, I'd already been working like 12 hours. This lady walks in, I'm never gonna forget her. Her name was Susan Lobuziak. She walks in, and she's wearing like khaki pants and a shirt with like a cashmere sweater slung across her shoulders. She walks in, she puts her hands on her hips, and she says, "You're the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. I don't know why the company would ever hire someone like you." And I looked at her, and there was a lot of hood in me. Yeah. You know? The hood was right there. And I looked at her, she had the little hoop earrings on, and I looked at her, and in my mind, I said, she ain't ever thrown a punch in her life. The hoop earrings, terrible. But that's the reality, okay? But the next picture that came into my mind was my infant daughter. And I said to my head, I could, and she would hurt, but then I wouldn't have a job, and I have a job to take care of her. So she never knew just how many thoughts went through my head in those seconds. And I went back to my computer screen and ignored her, and she eventually went away. But I ended up working for the VP of HR. And I found out what everybody was making. And I looked at these people, and I said, at that time, I went with a small division called Viacom Retail Group. It was a sister division of Blockbuster, owned by Viacom Corporate. And at that time, we only had about 25 people. And all these guys were making way over $100 grand a year. And 15 years ago, that's a lot of money. And I thought, I said, you know what? They're no more smarter. They're no more capable than I am. The difference is they have degrees, and they went out and they got experience in a specific field. And at that point, I knew that I had to take care of my daughter, and I had to do what it took to go get my education. And that's what I did. That division did shut down, and I was out of work. And for the next year, what I did is I went and I started my own little business, doing consulting work, doing little projects, and I went to Dallas Baptist University and I finished my degree on a bicycle, a pedal bike, okay? Because my car broke down so much, my mechanic refused to fix it anymore. That's how bad it was, because he kept, picking me up off the side of the road. He's like, look, I ain't fixing that no more. So I had a friend, when I first moved to Dallas, this lady came to my door and knocked, and it was a big Jamaican lady. She's like 6'1", and she comes to the door, and I open the door, and she tried to give me some pie. I never ate the pie, but we became friends. And so when the car situation happened, she gave me her bike. It was an ancient, heavy bike. And I had to ride this bike 7 miles each way, so it's 14 miles a day, to finish my degree. And I did. I was in very good shape. Okay? But had dogs chasing me. Okay? It was rough. And in Dallas, it's hot. It's like 115 in those summers. But I finished. And anyway, I ended up back in Miami because baby daddy showed up and said, "Marry me." And I said, "Okay." And I came back, and it was not good. And we were supposed to go to premarital classes and all this, and nothing happened the way that it was supposed to. We ended up living together. I was in torture. It was very, very bad. And I kept trying to apply biblical principles to an unbiblical situation. And by that point, though, I had my bachelor's degree. I went and got my master's degree. And I was making, by the time I hit 30, I was making $100 grand a year. And I was doing well financially. And then I had started having problems at work, but I had this stuff going on at home. And it got very bad, it got very ugly. And that relationship came to an end permanently. But guess what? I got pregnant again. So I have a 16-year-old and a 6-year-old from the same guy. And so at this point, I was doing well financially, and I ended up working for Winn-Dixie. I was the regional HR manager, so I was responsible for about 20,000 employees, 220 stores, and I was making very good money. And the company made a change to their staff and their stores, and I told them that what they were doing was abusive to the workers and manipulating federal labor regulations. Do you think they appreciated what I had to say? They didn't appreciate it. So they fired me. They fired me, and I had been there about 4 years. So now when I went out to interview, although I had all the degrees and all the credentials, do you think it came across real well that my last alert? No, I didn't. So I wasn't attracted. There's very few companies in South Florida. There's very few opportunities at my level. And even though I was willing to take a huge pay cut, a smart recruiter wouldn't hire me, because they knew if they hired me at a big pay cut, as soon as another opportunity came along, I'd be gone anyway. Okay? So it was tough. At that point, I had 2 properties. I was taking care of my kids, taking care of my mom. Now I had all this baby daddy drama, and it was ugly. He's a cop. It was ugly. See, y'all, see, some of y'all, right? So it was ugly. And I went from making a lot of money to having nothing. And I had a very nice house in Cooper City, a mortgage of like $4 grand a month, and it didn't take long. And literally, at that point, one of the bedrooms, the roof caved in. The roof literally caved in. I'm having baby daddy drama. I became ill with medical issues. I'm out of work. Financial issues are killing me. I can't find a job. And I'm feeling pathetic. I'm feeling like I'm in the mud and I can't tell where I stop and the mud starts. You know? And I'm feeling very, very sorry for myself when at that time, my friend Winsome, the nurse, Jamaican nurse, she calls me and she says, we talked. She called me like once every 5 or 6 months and she'd tell me what state she's in because she's always moving. And she calls me and she says, Ruth, now she had told me she had cancer, but before she was playing it off like it wasn't no big deal. Well, now she says, Ruth, I've got cancer and it's spread. And when my doctor put me out from work, the nursing agency I worked for, they fired me. She missed FMLA protection by 10 hours. They fired her. Well, the apartment she had was because she worked for the nursing agency. So when she couldn't work anymore, she didn't have a place to live anymore. So it was October, and she was sleeping in the state park in Maryland with her children. So when she called me, I felt stupid. Because I'm sitting here feeling sorry for myself, and I was in a bad situation. When I'm not dying and sleeping in the park with my kids and it's 40 degrees and I'm laying on the ground in the cold with my kids, and it was October. Okay, her 10-year-old son wasn't even enrolled in school. So I'm thinking, man, and she says, and the park is closing next week, they're going to find us in here. So I'm thinking, man, it's going to be any day, they're going to roll up on them, they're going to take that kid, and then we don't know what it's going to take to get him back. And I wasn't even thinking, I just said, send him to me. I said, I don't have money to send you, I can't fix your situation, but send me your son. So the next day, he was on the plane with me, and he's been with me now 4.5 years. And his mother did die last year of cancer. So the moral of that story is, no matter what you're going through, recognize that there are people that are going through far worse